Hello guys and welcome to a new tutorial. Today we are going to take a look at how we are going to create a teleporting effect in After Effects. So let's take a look at what we will be creating today. So as you can see, it's a very short effect. Some cool things going on like the shockwave and particles floating around. And as you can see, the person itself is disappearing. Well, parts are disappearing, not the whole character at once. So let's take a look at how we are going to create this. So let's start with a new project. Don't save. And create a new composition. And call this one a main comp or something. And set the frame rate to something you shoot your video with. And this time I put it to 50 frames per second. That's because my videos are 50 frames per second, and the duration doesn't really matter because it's a short effect. It depends on how long your video is, and this time I will set it to 10 seconds, and that's long enough. So first thing I'm going to do is create some new folders, and I will create a graphic folder. I don't think we're going to use it, but that doesn't matter. I just always create the same folders. So create some for the audio as well, and a video folder, and the last thing, wrong key. Last thing I'm going to add is a I've got video, graphic, audio, and a pre-comps folder. So the first thing I'm going to do is import my files, and I've got my files on my desktop, videos, and I will drag them all inside my project file. So I've got some shockwaves and particles, and I will add them to the video folder, and walking footage as well. The impact is an audio file, and these are the files we need to create a cool teleporting effect. So the first thing I'm going to use is of course the walking footage, and I will drag it into my layer area, because when I'm dragging it into my comp, it's not always in the center. As you can see, sometimes you have some pixels at the edge you've missed and things. So a tip for you guys: when you are dragging your footage into your composition, just drag it into your layer area, I guess it's called. Just drop it into there, and as you can see, it's always centered. So that's a lot easier and better looking. So alright. So the next thing we are going to do is get the shot where I am walking towards the camera. So I think that's some further. Oh, that's too far. Something like here, I guess. I set my render, not full screen, set the resolution to quarter, because my computer will render a lot faster. So it's a lot easier. So I think it's something like that. There we go. There's the first step I set into this video. So I drag with shift to the beginning, so it will stick to 0 seconds, and just move the time indicator to where the first jump is. And I think that's something, and there we go, and disappear. So click your layer and press Ctrl D for duplicate, and set this one to the bottom, and call this one background, and call the other file jump part 1 or something you would like to name it. I will name it part 1, and just hit Alt bracket, cut it out, and now we have to go to a part where the background is empty. And while you are shooting your video, always shoot around 10 to 15 seconds only the background, so the teleporting effect is much easier than someone is walking by in your footage. So I will set it to my 7 seconds, and also Alt bracket, and then I will move the timing, I move the layer, just drag it and place it on that place when your other layer ends. So when you're going to take a look now, you can see when I'm rendering this out, my character is disappearing, but as you can see, the trees and the bush, fuck's that name? Well, these plants or something, I don't know the English words for that, are moving as well. So yeah, the problem is it doesn't look realistic, and we're going to fix that. We'll set the background just a few frames before it disappears because our character is going to disappear in parts, so just a few frames. And this, I think, is a, I don't know how many frames these are, but you know it, you get it. So duplicate your jumping part by Ctrl D again, and just cut it, just drag with your mouse, get over here and drag it further around a second, 5 seconds, and just cut it off with bracket. And now you can see he's jumping, but we need this part because the plants are moving as well, and we want the plants just to keep moving and look realistic. So what we're going to do now is this layer is going to, I will call it plants moving, and I will mask this one with the pen tool, and I will just click something like here, 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 here as well. There we go. I think this is the best result we can get, and I will show you why. But as you can see, we have to invert the mask. Click on this arrow, go to your mask and click invert. And as you can see now, our character, excuse me, the person is gone and the plant's still moving, and he's gone because we have created a mask on the original file. So if we delete the mask, you will see the person is still at the same layer, but we've cut him out, and the layer behind it, because it's just a mask, it's just a background when nothing much is going on. So I don't know how to explain it, but it's just you are looking now at two layers put in together. So that means this part is the background, I think, and that other part is from the file above it. So as you can see, this is this part. The plants are moving is just from the original file, and this part is from the background. A weird explain, I'm sorry about that, but I hope you guys get it, and if you've got any questions about that, just ask me, and I hope I can explain you better. And if that's very hard to do, I will make a tutorial about masking, but for this I will leave it by here, and I will move on with the tutorial for teleporting. So there we go, the character disappeared, and you can see the shadow is disappearing as well, and I hope it's okay for now. Sometimes you see your character moving. Yeah, see, there we go, there's my head. So just get to something like that, click on your mask, click the watch for a mask path, and well, just animate your mask a bit. So it's just a process, it's always boring to do, but it has to be done, because if you don't move your mask, it looks fake and unrealistic, and we don't want it to happen. So I hope it's okay for now. Sometimes you don't see some things going on, but when you render it out, you always see some spots you have missed. So there we go, there's another head. Click on the keyframe and click on the dots for the keyframes, and I think it doesn't really matter if the tree on that background is not moving realistic, because it's so far in the background the eyes don't want to do that at all. So move the time indicator a bit more. I don't think I have seen any spots missed. So there we go, there's someone more. Click on the keyframe again and just click and move these parts a bit. something like this, so you won't see any person moving. So when I render this out, let's take a look at what we have created now, and I hope we didn't miss any parts. It will take a while because my computer has to render it, and I don't have a monster PC or something. And boom, there we go. That looks fine. It's a great start and a great thing to work with. And sometimes you see some edges from the mask, but in this case it looks okay. So so the next thing we can do is add some cool effects on it, like the person that's disappearing in parts. So I will show you guys how I did that part. So the first thing you have to do is go to a layer, click new, layer, new, solid, and just the black one, and call it jump effect or something. Go to type in your effects and presets fractal noise, drag it onto your jump effect solid, and we are going to go to the fractal type and just click on something. No, not the mask, just click on something you like, but be sure that it got some very contrast in it, so you can see the edges from the particles, I guess it is, and maybe rocky is okay, but turn smooth. Let's take a look. I always look at all the types because sometimes you just find some better things. Maybe this one is okay. No, it's not that one. Max maybe, or go to Rocky. Rocky is fine. So just go to the Rocky fractal type, set brightness to 0 and contrast also to 0, or not, just a high contrast, maybe 300, and a brightness a bit. So what it does is almost the same as a mask, but in this case it's just a solid. So when you drag this above your jumping part, and you will click on this eye, so you don't see the layer at all. And when you go to your jumping part, you click on toggle switch mode, or if you already have the modes, you can click on track map and then Luma inverted map jump effect. So what it does, your jumping part layer will invert map the jumping effect. So as you can see, my character is almost gone, and that's because I will show you. It's because all these white parts is standing for a mask. So when I will get the brightness at a maximum, like I guess 390 or 400, let's put it to 400, and I'll uncheck this box, you can see my character is totally gone, and that's because the mask itself is white. So when you set this one to 0 and maybe a bit to -120, and you click the eye again, you can see my character is there and some parts are missing, and that's what you want to to happen. So get to the part where you want your character is getting disappearing. So I think that's something like here. There we go, and all brackets to cut it off, and then set the click on the eye and click on the evolution watch, the contrast and the brightness. And when you click on your layer and press U, you can see you've got the three options you're going to work with, and you don't have to look at all these mess around here. So move your time indicator to when your character is completely gone, or your person in this case, and click on the three, on these three well, what is it, keyframes, and just increase your contrast a bit, something like there. The brightness, set your brightness to a lot higher, to 100 and 180 maybe. Yes, that's okay. And contrast, set it to contrast to 400, and then the evolution, set it to, well, to set it to some, it doesn't really matter what evolution you use. And what evolution does, I can show you. When you change the evolution, you can see there is some movement going on that layer, so it will looks a bit realistic, a bit of touch to it, and it's just a great effect to use. So it doesn't really matter what kind of evolution you are going to use, because we just have to get some movement, and how high your evolution, how more movement it's going to show in these few frames. So a bit of a weird explainment from me, but I hope you guys get it. And as I said before, if you don't get it, or if you think you have to get some more information about it, just ask me in the comments and I will get you guys a tutorial for it. So let's get further and set the brightness to a bit higher, because we don't want any black spots to be left over. And just get to the beginning and make sure it's all black. So set the brightness to -200, contrast a bit higher, and there we go. It's now moving from black to white in a few frames. So click on that eye again, and as you can see, our character is now disappearing from, well, from a full image to gone. But as you can see, the grass is also disappearing, but you can fix that by masking around the person itself. But I think it's a great touch, because when you're adding some particles around it, it just all looks like it's the teleporting effect of doing that. So when we are going to the disappearing part, and we're going to add some particles by clicking on our project and click on the particles files, you can get some free particles. Just go to Google and type in Adobe After Effects free particles or something. I've got this particle bundle as well from Google, but as you can see, it's not a great particle video because it's a bit gray and stuff. But you can fix that by going to the effect, color correction and levels, and turn down these the values a bit and increase the highlights and stuff, and set the mode to screen. And now you can go to a cool part you would like to use. I think this part is very nice there, and I will click on the particles, double click the ellipse tool, and what it does, it makes your video a mask around it. And when I go to the mask itself and increase the feather, I will create smoothness edges, so you won't see there are raw tough edges. So now it's just a smooth particles floating around, and I will decrease the scaling a bit, and I will place the particles inside the scene I would like to use. So I think that's something like here. I will get some rotations on it. There we go. Increase the scaling a bit more, 50%, and let's take a look at the point where the particles are floating around. So I think the particles are floating around a bit earlier, so it's a bit hard to see because particles are, well, you know, small objects. There we go. So it's going from here, and move this one to the start, and just click on T for opacity, click on the watch, and then move your time indicator to somewhere where the particles has to end. So I guess it's something about a bit more than 3 seconds, and set a keyframe and move the time indicator a bit, and then set it. opacity to 0 and just cut it off. So when we will take a look at it, color resolution, yes, when we take a look at it, well, you can see the particles are, or the particles just have to fade in a bit, so just move the time indicator to somewhere like here, and then another keyframe. Select the first keyframe, set it to 0, just double click it and pass it to 0, and just take a look at it again. That looks better, but the particles are just too far away from the object, so just move it just with the arrow keys and set the particles beneath the jumping part. So when you will take a look at it again, you can see it looks much better, and it has to fade out a bit faster, so I will just press oh, hold on, wrong layer, just a bit faster, zoom in with the plus and just move this a bit, something like there. That looks cool. And a bit earlier, something like here, so we'll pop up when I'm gone. There we go, that looks better. And maybe you could add some shockwaves. If you've got some shockwave footage, you can check them out on videocopilot.net. You have to pay for it, but the pack itself is very awesome. You can just drag it into your footage, set the mode to screen, downscale it a bit, and well, set it on somewhere as the same as the particles, and just position it a bit, and I will time stretch it to just a bit faster, so I'm gonna maybe stretch factor up to 10, so you can see it's just very fast now. And let's take a look at it. That looks cool. And if you just want some other details, you can just add some more shockwaves, but for now I leave it but with one shockwave. I think this one looks cool. And well, the last thing you always have to add are some audio files. I've got the impact. I will just drag it onto while my shockwave is appearing. Just click on that arrow, look at your audio and your waveform, and then you can see the impact from this, well, it's called impact, but the bass drop is something like here, as you can see. Just drag that above or beneath your shockwave, and when the shockwave is appearing like here, just be sure that also the audio is coming, and when it's all gone, just set a keyframe and fade it out to -48. So when you're listening to it, you will hear a, well, cool, well, teleport sound effect or something. Just use any effect you'd like. Just, I don't know, there are tons of sound effects you could use. Well, that's basically it, how I did my teleporting effect. When you will take a look at the whole video I've made, I've got a quarter resolution, so it will look a bit pixelated, but there we go. I could just increase it to full, but that will take a render a bit longer. As you can see, it will render too long, so I'll skip this part for you guys. And there we go, there is a teleporting effect. Last thing I always add is some some wiggle movement to my composition to give it a bit of a realistic, how do I call it? Last thing. So the last thing I always add is some bouncing effect, some wiggle effect to give it a little bit of a realistic touch on it. Just select all your layers and then go to a layer, pre-compose. Just move all attributes to, yeah, we'll call this one a wiggle. And then you go to the part when the teleport is happening, something like that, and select your layer and then go to your scaling. Set your scaling to 110. It will be a bit larger because the wiggle expression make it bounce a bit, and if you've got at 100%, you can see when it's bouncing, you can see, well, when you render it out, it's black, so there won't be any video at all. So just set it to 110 and go to your position and click Alt Position and type in wiggle space 2 by, I'll make it 4 by 20 maybe. Just take a look at it, if it's bouncing good or not. I've got full resolution, I'll set it up to quarter first. So it's bouncing, but it should bounce a bit more, so I would turn this up to maybe 7. That's okay, but the thing is, it's wiggling the whole video, so we just wanted to wiggle at this point. So there are a few things you could do it, but I do it with a slider control, and just click on your layer and go to the effect, expression controls and slider control, and click on your wiggle, select the 20 and click on this rope or something, attachment tool, I don't know how they call it. Just click on it and drag it onto your slider. So what's next to do, the slider controls the value, the 20. So that means we have to turn this to 20 first and click on that the watch and go to somewhere it's all gone, basically somewhere like here, and click on it and turn it to 0. So it means it will fade out the wiggle expression. So when you take a look at your footage now, you can see I'm doing something wrong. So that's not what we'd like to happen. Let's go to my slider control, let's see what happens. And I see what happens, it just keeps everything on 20. So get to your first keyframe and go one behind it and set it to 0. So what happens is everywhere it's 0 and then boom, it goes to 20 and well, it will wiggle. So let's take a look at it. There we go, there's our small wiggle expression. It will look a bit better, the realistic thing, and it's a helpful effect for many videos you would like to make in the future. Just always use slider controls. You could use it for anything you'd like. Just drag something to the slider control and you can control it with, well, the slider. And the last thing we could do is some color corrections and stuff, but I will leave it by here because my tutorial is getting too long. Sorry guys. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions, just ask in the comments like I said before in all my other videos. I hope you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next time. See you, peace, bye.